We're standing outside of Duomo, the Cathedral of Florence, and we are looking up at Brunelleschi's dome. Until St. Peter's Cathedral has completed, which is in Rome, it was the highest dome that had ever been raised. At its width, it was as wide as a fountain. If we think about the Duomo itself had been planned in the 14th century, the plan was to build a dome that had a span nearly equal to that of the Pantheon. And of course, the Pantheon had been built in ancient world, and the technology has rather been lost. So first and foremost, what Brunelleschi did was on 1419, an amazing engineering achievement. The challenge was how to build a dome this wide without wooden centering. Generally, when we build an archway, and the dome is really just an arch in the round. In the ancient world, the Pantheon, for example, they had dealt with that by just creating sheer block. In other words, the wall got to be 10 feet thick. Actually, in the Pantheon, they used something like 20 feet thick of concreted. But Brunelleschi couldn't do that here. So what he done instead of this? First of all, he made the decision to make the dome as light as possible, and that means that it's basically hollow. It's a double shell, and within the shell is a staircase that snag around that allow the one to actually get to the top. And if you look, you can see people just below the lantern, up at the top of the dome, taking in a view of the city. 1402 Brunelleschi took part in a competition for bronze relief adorning the gate of the baptistry in Florence. He advances to the final with Ghiberti. The jury, who had a hard time deciding between the two candidates, made a collaboration with both after deliberation. However, Brunelleschi refused and went to Rome with his friend Donatello to study architecture and construction techniques on his own, exploring the architecture side of the ancient Rome, and there is no precedent in the ancient world, even for what Brunelleschi accomplishes here. Important to say that dome is not a hemispherical, like the dome on the Pantheon. It's actually kind of tall, it's kind of pointed. In a way, it has more Gothic shape than a classical shape, but in that way it matches the Gothic church itself. If you look closely, you can see that this extra air or blind tribune that Brunelleschi is at around the outside of the dome. They actually look very classical compared to the Gothic church there. In fact, look like Roman triumphal arches.